All right. Welcome to another episode of Mr. Walk That Walk. I lied. I mean, welcome to another episode of Can You Connect? And this is Mr. Walk That Walk. All right. Today we are going to be, our topic is going to be on how to argue, because the last one was on arguing. So now we're going to go over, maybe the do's and don'ts of how to argue. So the first guidelines we're going to start with is setting guidelines. And these guidelines should be set when everybody's calm and relaxed, when nobody's upset or angry or feeling frustrated or aggravated. So we're probably going to start with choosing the right time. These are part of the guidelines. Choosing the right time to bring up problems. So, so maybe we might be giving our partner a break when they get home, maybe not right when they get home, or, maybe not a time where people are over. So just finding a right time to to discuss, a disagreement. And however, if problems may become bigger if they are ignored. And it will be best to have these disagreements, when alone, not when you're like around other people or family or friends or in public. Because some people argue in public and it's not a good look. It looks very messy, So setting the guidelines help it look less messy. And it's also important to focus on paying attention to your ego during an argument, because sometimes the ego usually has you fight to be right. So that's not always helpful. and the ego does not allow for self-responsibility. Because at some point, each person played a part in it. So, you know, we both have faults in the disagreements that we could work on. And it'll be important, not to shout when being cut off. And a person with low self-esteem can always take responsibility for issues which which could potentially cause emotional detachment, because they feel like they're taking up all the issues and problems, and that could weigh heavy on somebody. So rather than take it all in, sometimes they just detach from their partner. So that could be something to think about. And taking a time out is also good, because sometimes it's good to take a break, especially if something gets heated, because nobody wants to get like shouted at, But it will also be important not to shut down or walk away during a disagreement. Y'all want to be able to come to terms that y'all are going to have a break in that moment. Because leaving an argument, without the agreement or ignoring your partner, that's just going to lead to more issues down the line. Or bringing other people's opinion into a discussion can cause a lot of issues. And even comparing people can be a problem as well. But another good thing to work on is assuming what your partner is going to say. Even though they might say the same thing all the time, you never know. So just giving them that space to think about something different, or, come to the disagreement with something new. However, but losing your temper or shouting, calling names, being physically aggressive or destroying stuff, that's not going to help. Because both parties are responsible in the argument. So it's just good to keep in mind that sometimes we see the world through our eyes and see other people's faults, or just see faults in other people, like just see issues with other people and not ourselves. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when we're having certain conflicts or certain issues, just keeping in mind that we might be doing something in that disagreement to make it worse. And lastly, if the partner is reluctant to accept blame, then it can cause a cycle of despair, because who wants to be with somebody who, never takes blame for anything they do? It's like, how can you work together and problem solve when that person is saying there's not a problem to begin with? So it's just something to think about, food for thought. But I try to do them weekly. If I don't do them weekly, I do apologize about that. And I try to do them weekly on purpose because each episode provides mental health homework, you know. So that week provides you time to work on yourself, your relationship, or your past, with family and friends or your environment that may have affected your relationships or how you communicate. So please do you gotta go from episode 1 to now. You can't go in the middle, sporadic. It may seem like you know it already, but you never know. You might hear something new. Just like when you watch a movie, the same movie, you might see something different the second time you watch it or the second time you hear it, you know? So please do your mental health homework. Please. It is very important to do your mental health homework because that helps continue the self-improvement. Okay. And of course, we're going to go back to supporting, or we're still supporting Black-owned businesses. The next one is a caterer. They're in the DMV area. She usually caters at most like Caribbean events, like okay, I'll say the type, like maybe like soca parties or something like that. And I'll put all her information in the description below. So she is Sweet Hand Catering, literally like sweet, like something sugary, and then hand, it's all together, and then catering. But I'll put her email, her phone number, and her Instagram so you can see the food. Because most of it's Caribbean food. It's Trini inspired. So, it was pretty good. My friend tried it out when I was there. So he said it was pretty good, and we got a card. So we wanted to support her. And of course, if you want to have individual couples therapy, I could do that in the state of Maryland. I could also provide behavioral health that works on certain bad habits and transitioning to good habits. I could do that all over the US. All I gotta do is email me. That information will be in the description as well. And I think that is it for this episode. So thanks for listening, and y'all have a good rest of the night and a good rest of the week. What does it take to become passion.